You get it fresh, you hit this roll when you come in town. Need you right here. Know you the queen of giving ideas. No, my new friends don't bring the hype here. No, you got problems, but it's not fair. Cosas de familia no las tienes que escuchar. Los capos con los capos y yo soy la mamá. Los secretos solo con quien puedes confiar. Más te vale no romperla.
Hey yo, what's up? Let's keep it real, son. Count this money, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is Famous Now.
Stand by for retro rockets.
Today's superstars, community builders, legacy owners, hustlers, champagne poppers, and wait, there's more. Welcome to Famous Now. Your host, the one and only, Ladarius Ely.
Welcome to the Famous Now show, being powered by the Fishbowl Radio Network. Jump in. Hosted by the one and the only Darius Ely, aka Mr. Never Satisfied. Today's episode is being sponsored by audiobooks.com. Audiobooks.com allows customers to choose from 125,000 plus of the bestsellers and hottest titles in the romance, mystery, fiction, and many other genres. Audiobooks can be downloaded directly to iPhone or Android by app. Stream instantly from the car or while making dinner, anytime, anywhere. Sign up with the link that is being dropped in the chat right now. There is a free 30-day trial if you click this link, being sponsored by the Famous Now show. All right, Gary, give us a little music today, man. I want to be very bold in my introduction to such a great and strong individual in the radio industry, and I definitely want to have everything set right. All right, today we have the opportunity to interview a very special guest. She's known as a radio legend, a radio superstar. She has worked for Power 102, K104, ABC Radio, Magic 102, and many more. The owner and founder of Fishbowl Radio Network, Miss Sylvia St. John Martinez, aka Sammy G. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Sammy. Welcome to the Famous Now show. I'm very excited to dive deep into this interview, and I hope that we find a lot of gems in this, right?
Yes, you're going to find a lot of nuggets. I'm honored to be here. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, and I appreciate you inviting me and you know, feeling that I'm worthy of being on this amazing show, Famous Now show.
Thank you. Well, none of this would be happening without Miss Sammy. Sammy is the reason why the Famous Now show has moved over to the Fishbowl Radio Network, and we're very grateful to say we have a home.
Yes, and you know, you do. We're very grateful. It was a mutual blessing. We're grateful to you, and we'll get into that later probably.
For sure. I would like to say, I know I spoke with you on Mother's Day, but I would like to say here, Happy Mother's Day from the Now Legacy Network. We're grateful for you. Again, I can just keep on complimenting you all the way through this show. You're such a great person. You bring great energy. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So transitioning into this, I'm very interested. What I'd like to say is I'd like to give a small disclaimer before I do interviews.
Okay.
I would love to open up the opportunity to get inside of your brain, your mind, and we dive deep into this interview.
All right.
You with it?
I don't know what you'll find in that brain, but okay.
She's with it. Let's go. Okay. first and foremost, tell us your story. Tell us your originality. Where are you from?
So I'm originally from El Paso, Texas.
Okay.
I was born really in New Mexico. 30 minutes away from El Paso is a town called Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Okay.
I was born there. However, my parents moved like 2 weeks after I was born to El Paso.
Wow.
And so I feel like I'm from El Paso. But I have a lot of family in the New Mexico area. And so I grew up in El Paso, which is a border town bordering the city of Juarez, Mexico, and then bordering to New Mexico. We're the farthest city in Texas, over there on the tip out there. So it's like we're closer to California than we are to Dallas.
Wow. Wow.
If that makes any sense.
About how many miles you think you're probably from California?
So from here to El Paso is anywhere between 500 or 600 miles. So it takes about 9 or 10 hours.
Okay.
And from El Paso to California, it takes about 9 hours. So,
Okay.
and you pass Arizona and other states.
So you get to see a lot of scenery along the way.
Right. So Texas is big because we're, in Texas, but we were over there on that little tip on that corner, bordering, again, the country of Mexico, and then bordering the state of New Mexico, and further away from Houston, Dallas, Austin.
Nice. So did you spend a lot of time in Mexico?
We did. Back then when it was safe to go over there, we would go over the border and go eat great food and shop there. A lot of times the groceries were a lot less expensive. Yeah. Gas was less expensive. So yeah, we would go over and spend the day and hang out there, definitely.
Cool. So from being this kid that's born and raised in Texas, basically, Miss El Paso, being from El Paso, your family, you started to move around a little bit. You guys were in different locations. Where did you build a confidence to pursue such a career?
So my family didn't move around. They stayed there in the El Paso area forever. My siblings now, they all, as they graduated high school, they would move on to different colleges around the country. My oldest sister was the first to leave the El Paso area when she graduated, and she got a scholarship to Catholic University in Washington, D.C. Nice. She was the state debate champ in the 5A Texas area. So she got a scholarship there, and she got to live there, and is still there now. And so my brother, he got a full paid scholarship for golf. He moved to the University of Arizona and played there, and he lives still in Arizona.
Okay.
And so we all lived in that area. So when I graduated, I followed my sister. I went to the D.C. area because we loved it. When we'd go visit her, we'd love there. And fast forward since then, I have me by myself. I've lived in D.C. I lived in Long Beach for a little bit. Wow. And then I've lived here in the Dallas area. Okay. So I moved around a little bit, and I started my radio career here in Dallas in 1989. I originally started it in El Paso when I was 17 years old. I was going to college at UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso, and studying journalism and broadcasting. And I was lucky enough to get that first break at a radio station called Power 102. Still there. It's still there.
Power 102. Okay.
And so that's where I got my feet wet as far as being behind the mic. Okay. Started at the bottom with an overnight graveyard shift, and then I'd go to school during the day full time and take a full load at school. So
that's a real hustle.
Yeah, so it was a hustle. It was rough. And about 6 months into it, I was getting tired because, again, working overnight, going to college full time, I was just, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle this? And about that time, the competition in the town for that radio station was called 93Z. They contacted me and offered me a job to come over and work a midday shift. Wow. So it was quick. It was quick and furious for me. So I worked there for a bit, and there at 93Z is where I really started learning and being what we call in the industry a radio rat. A radio rat means you never leave the station. You're just always there, right? You love it so much that you're just always there learning and being a sponge. So I got to learn a lot of different things, not just being behind the mic, but I started learning how to market, how to do radio sales, how to do promotions, production, every aspect. I would just always live at the station. If I wasn't at the school, trying to get my degree, I was at the radio station.
Wow.
And the cool thing was that the radio stations in our town were right next to the university. Like they were all in that same proximity. So
Nice.
I was just in that area all the time from morning to night.
Wow.
So I worked there for a couple of years, I think 2 years, when at the time my ex-husband at the time when we graduated, got a job offer to come work at the Dallas Times-Herald. At the same time, I got a job offer to go work and do afternoon drive in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we flipped a coin. I lost. We come to Dallas, and then 2 weeks later, I was on a radio station. So it's really been like, I always say, you know, it's just been my calling. It's what I'm supposed to do, because it's been it was rather, you know, easy as I was going through getting jobs. Like I really didn't.
You have a great testimony, which I'm hoping that we get to talk about that a little bit later. But you have a great testimony that the listeners have to hear about. It's very touching. But when you were working in the radio world, like when you moved around, I know you having to spend a lot of time with different celebrities.
Yes, lots of time.
I mean, hey, the first time I met you, we came into your office and you have pictures of all type of people.
Right.
Could you tell me about how is that, like, what is that process like, working at a radio station, having to do, you said, like, interviews over and over, like what you're doing right now.
Right.
Thank you, guys. All right, you did this over and over. Not only did you do it, but you did it in different markets, right? You did it in different markets, all being that low level, high level, like what's the top tier radio station. But
so one thing, again, I was blessed. When we talk about markets in radio are determined by the size of the population. So
yes.
I've been in Dallas since 1989. We're the fourth largest radio market. It's the only market outside of El Paso, which is considered a mid-market.
El Paso.
So I've only been in this market. Now within this market, now you have rankings of radio stations. Like the number one station, 2, 3, 4. And those are all based on the ratings of the station, based on the listeners. Back then it was Arbitron ratings and what people would, put down as their favorite radio stations. And then you got a ranking. And even in that, I was blessed that every station I worked at here in the Dallas area was always in the top 5. Wow. So K104, number 1 for so many years. Kiss FM, number 1 for so many years. 100.3 Jams, we came in, we got to number 2. So I've always had, gotten a chance to work with some amazing program directors that taught me so much, and radio hosts like Tom Joyner and Kid Craddock, Russ Parr, just great radio people that I got to glean from and learn from and work alongside. So I was very blessed in that way.
Absolutely. And so during that time, you had the chance to interview a lot of different people.
I did. That was one of my favorite parts. It still is. I actually have a show here on my own network called The Interview, because it is one of my favorite parts of radio. Although I love all of radio, it is my favorite thing to do is find out people's stories, right? Yes. Find out how they got from where they are to where they are today. Correct. Or where they were to where they are, and just have conversations with people. I love to just have conversations, and I got to have so many conversations because in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, because Dallas was the 4th largest radio market and it was the middle ground from Los Angeles to the East Coast, right to New York, all those famous celebrities would come and stop here in the Dallas area to promote whether it was a movie or their music or their concerts were here, and they would always go by the radio stations and just walk in. Sometimes we knew they were coming, sometimes we didn't, and they just walked in.
Would y'all have to prepare on?
On the fly. I remember one time I got a call on the hotline, which is the phone into the studio that only the people that work there have.
Yeah.
And it's not the listen request line. And when that little red light goes off, it's your boss or something important. Yeah. So I picked it up and they said, Madonna just walked in.
Madonna.
And we're walking up the hallway, and we're going to be inside that studio in about 40 seconds, and you better, be ready.
Wow.
So, yeah, you have to act like, yeah, I got this. You can't let them see you sweat, and you've got to just on the fly. That song I was playing on the air at that time ended, and then quickly I had to go into making sure I was pulling up her songs, getting ready with having that conversation when we were going to ask. But it was not planned, because I remember one time the same thing happened with the quarterback Joe Montana. He came. He was here for his nonprofit organization with the Heart Association. Okay. And he wasn't here for a game. We didn't know, and he just happened to be at this event, and somehow he ended up at the station unannounced. And I don't know too much about sports in that way, or football. I'm an athlete, but not in football. So here comes, by the way, Sammy, here he comes down the hall. You're going to have to interview him. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, how do I prepare for this one? Because this isn't someone I can pull up some music.
Right.
Now I got to, talk to him about why he's here and things of that nature. But always so fun meeting those people that, are celebrities in the sports world or the acting world or the music industry. It's very exciting, and you can't act starstruck. You just have to be cool, and you have to be calm, because you're working. It's a profession, and you can't be like, oh my God, this person's a what? Like, even though inside you might be saying it, you just can't let them see you sweat. You just have to stay calm.
Being that that you mentioned in there, being that you said seeing people, like letting people see you, riled up, excited about it. On this show, we really like to focus on the upcoming, right? The upturn. Like, we want to talk about the leveling up, and I love to discuss failure. Failure being a stepping stone into where you're going into. During those interviews, like during those early times, what would be like something that you could remember that was like, oh my gosh, it could have been totally disastrous, or something?
I don't know. I guess because my mindset, I'm a real extreme optimist.
Yes.
Almost to where it's kind of like, blah, But I didn't see anything that way. Like, I just didn't live my life. I don't live my life that way, and I don't live my career that way, because you're in the moment and you're going to do the best you can do at that time.
Yes.
And the one thing I always remember my mom telling me as I was growing up was, just have fun. Just enjoy what you're doing. Just smile, and make it comfortable for whoever's around you, and she wasn't even talking about radio. Fast forward, this was just me growing up. Just be happy, smile. You're not always going to be prepared. There's always going to be somebody smarter than you, somebody, thinner than you, somebody prettier than you, somebody richer than you. So just be happy and be yourself, and be the best you can. So, that's what I grew up with, that mentality, that mindset. And I guess that's why I had that confidence since early on. But then I met my mentor when I was in my 20s here in Dallas. His name is Elroy Smith. Still consider him my mentor. Probably one of the top 3 in the radio industry, period, around the world. Wow. And I call him my radio dad. But the one thing he said is, Sammy, have fun. Radio's got to be fun. Have fun.
Yeah.
So even in those times when you think you're not, like it's not going to go perfect or it's not going to be prepared right, as long as you're having fun, then the audience is going to have fun. So have fun. It doesn't have to be like every question's perfect, the background's perfect, everything. No, just have fun, and then the listeners will have fun.
Ah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, because we always strive for everything to be perfect, right?
Right.
And what you were saying is live in the moment.
Yeah.
Enjoy just a little bit, to where you can smile and be happy, like in love life. I love that.
Enjoy the process. Don't try to reach for perfection, because it's an illusion.
Yes.
Try to reach for progress. Try to reach for, the process. Enjoy the process, the journey. And when interviewing some of those A-list celebrities, just they're people, knowing that they're human and they just want to be spoken to like you would speak to your friend. Right. And you want to make them comfortable. One thing I remember is that a lot of times they'd say, okay, so-and-so is going to come in for an interview. They're only going to be here 30 minutes. And then they'd end up staying 1 or 2 or the whole show sometimes. We were on 4 hours. because you make them feel comfortable,
Yeah,
and you have fun with them, and you treat them like they're just anybody else, right? And you don't ask the same questions that everybody else is probably going to be asking on their tour to promote whatever they're promoting. You know, you look for things and questions that are going to be, I guess, more humanitarian and more about who they are as people, not necessarily of what they do, but who are they? Yeah.
Speaking of that, you got to interview a lot of people, but you've worked at so many different stations, right? So even in that aspect, you made a lot of history because you worked. You mentioned Russ Parr,
right? Tom Joyner, Kid Craddock, yes.
I would love to know your top
KZPS.
5. I would love to know your top 5 radio personalities of all time.
Well, I mean, gosh, when we look at, I think the number one radio person that I thought was just amazing in observation of how he worked, who he was as a human being, just all around, it's going to have to be Kid Craddock.
Wow.
It's going to have to be just talented, always shining the light on his co-host, to the fact that since he passed, that show still years later is called the Kid Craddock Show. That's the only radio show in history that has still survived when the main person is not even living.
Wow.
But that's a testament to how he shined the light on everybody, and those co-hosts made him just as big as he was. Wow. So that's huge, you know, and he was just creative, and he was fun, and he was a giver, and just his whole demeanor. I learned so much from him. Of course, Tom Joyner is great. Russ Parr is great. They're all different in their own unique way. Bo and Jim, icons in this market, in the rock industry. I worked with them. Just great to watch that duo. That was a duo, you know, and so that was interesting to see. But it's hard to put them in a ranking. But if I had to, I would give the medal to Kid.
That settles it right there. I like that. And with that, we transition into a little game I like to call This or That.
All right.
I'm certain we do this or that every single day when we make our choices. So I know you played this game. It's going to be a little fun.
Uh-oh, is that like
we
the
got
family
the game
feud?
show
Is that the
music
game show
going.
music? Oh,
Thank you, Gary.
Gary's rocking it over there.
Oh, we got the game show music going. So, Sammy, we're going to start it off with a little simple one right now. But let's go. Pineapple pizza or candy corn?
Pineapple pizza.
Ooh, tell me why.
Because candy corn is so little, it'll be gone in a flash. I'm a girl that likes to eat. That would be, you know, pineapple pizza. I remember the first time I tried pineapple pizza, they were like, pineapple pizza? I said, nah. But they said, just try it.
Yeah.
And it was off the chain.
Yeah.
I have a host here. He's actually the very first host we ever had at Fishbowl.
Nice.
And he's still here, Candyman.
Nice.
And he will post about anyone that likes pineapple pizza, he just can't. He's like, no, y'all are wrong. Like that, something's wrong with you.
He has to try it again.
He's tried it. He's like, there is something wrong with you, but it's good, right?
Good.
It's good.
I like it. I have to have the chicken and pineapple. I might need to stop by the store after this. Let's go with this. Let's go. Now, I know that you have a lot of little ones in your family, like around you. So I want to hear this one. But talking pets or talking babies?
Talking babies.
How would that be? Like talking babies. Imagine that.
I'd love it because you want to know what they're thinking, what they're saying.
This is true.
Especially the worst thing for a mom or a grandma is when they're not feeling well. They can't tell you what's hurting. So if they could tell us, right?
Yeah.
That would just eliminate so much stress for parents and grandparents. So yeah, we'll let the dogs keep barking. I need a talking baby.
Talking baby.
Yes.
I definitely like that. My son is 2 now, and I would love to know what he's thinking all the time.
Right.
I would really love to know.
Well, you're almost there.
Yeah.
Because my grandson's 3, and he's just jabbering
He's
and
going
talking
on,
and so
on.
much. Yes.
That's fun. I know you enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it a lot.
I definitely am.
All right, let's go to number 3. Guacamole or salsa?
Oh, gosh. Well, Eeks, that's a tough one because I'm Latina.
Okay,
so
yeah.
it's just for us, it's just part of our daily life, both of them, right? So it's hard to say which one. But if I had to just choose one, it would be my husband's salsa. It is famous. It is so good.
Wow.
Nobody makes a salsa like my husband.
Wow.
So as much as I love guacamole and avocados, I mean, I love them.
Yeah.
I cannot live without my husband's salsa.
Sometimes you just know what's better.
Yes.
That's awesome. You definitely have to bring some salsa around now.
I will. I'll bring
All
you
right.
guys some. It's so good. So good.
All right. Vacation or staycation?
Oh, another tough one, right? Because sometimes when I go on a vacation and I come back, I think I need a vacation from the vacation, right? And then I've had nice staycations,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, but I want to see the world. So,
Yeah.
you know what? For me, vacation. My true
Vacation.
core is I love to see new places. I love to experience new environments
Yeah.
and see the world as much as I can.
Nice. Since being here, I haven't had the opportunity, but I hear staycation is very big in this area.
Yes, because
Okay.
there's so many beautiful hotels here, and also it's such a vast area that you can feel like you're away from your area when
Yeah.
you're like, let's say, for instance, I'm in the Arlington area, right? If I go stay somewhere in Plano or, you know, way out in an area that's about an hour or 30 minutes away, I'm going to feel like I'm on a vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's a whole new environment.
Yeah,
So you definitely should try that.
definitely looking into that. Thank you. No, I really want to go with this one. I really want to know, would you like to attend a party or host a party? You seem like the life of the party.
Attend a party.
Attend a party.
Oh yes, I am not the greatest host. My husband is a great host. I am
Okay.
not. And you know what's funny is you just said something. You go, oh, you seem like you're the life of the
Yeah,
party.
you're the life of
And
the
really,
party.
I'm an introvert. I am a big
Really?
introvert. Yes.
Really?
You'd be surprised. Yes. And most people that are in the media, a lot of them, the bigger percentage of them are introverts. So, because if you think about it, Darius, we're in a room in here, and even though we might be being heard by hundreds and thousands of people around the world, there's only you and me and Jerry in
us.
here.
Yeah, just us.
So there's not a lot of people, and I
Yeah.
like that. I'm not good in big crowds. Like, I don't know, I get anxious. I just, as long as there's a barrier in between, I can
Good.
get up and do a speech in front of 5,000 people, but I'm here in the state, and I'm not there.
Yeah.
So if I'm like they're around me and I'm like it drains my
Close.
energy.
Yeah. Wow.
But my favorite place is in my room with a good book and a good cup of coffee or a glass of wine.
Nice.
Just by myself.
Nice. You shattered one of my next questions about coffee or wine. That was great.
Both.
Beautiful. Nah, I have to know this as a boss, messy desk or clean desk?
Right now, my desk is very messy because we moved in February, and here it is,
Right.
May, and I'm still trying to get organized.
Right.
But my desire is to be a clean desk.
Clean
but
desk.
when you're in radio and so many things are coming at you, it's hard to do. It's hard to
Is
do.
a messy desk indication of like something great is going on? It's a rapid pace.
No, I think it's just a lot's going on.
A
That
lot's
there's a
going
lot, and you don't have enough time to get to it
Yeah.
all. Because my nature is to be, minimalist. I love minimalism. I love a clean, simple, classic. You can see by
Yeah.
the colors and
Yeah.
just simple. Not a lot,
Yeah.
so that you can really highlight what's important, which is like you guys,
Yeah.
the hosts.
Yeah.
So that's my taste, is just classic and minimalist and simple.
It's beautiful.
But if you go to my office right now, it looks chaotic.
Hey, but it's nice. It's a very
Yes.
nice studio. It's one of the most beautiful buildings in the DFW.
I love
and
it.
we are overlooking a lot of things. right now,
Yes,
so I love it.
Fishbowl has been blessed throughout its. Will be 13 years old September
Nice.
1st of 2022, and we've been blessed that for 10 years we were at Arlington Downs Towers, and that was a beautiful building, and then we were at the Globe Life Stadium, which obviously it was a stadium. It was
Yeah.
amazing, and then now we're here in this beautiful facility that. This one's been my favorite actually so far, so I'm enjoying it a lot.
Okay. We have a couple more, and then we will be transitioning into some more serious topics.
Okay.
But would you prefer a company retreat or a company holiday party?
I would prefer a. I think I would want to retreat by myself, and then I'll have a company party with the crew.
Nice. Yes. Hey, a retreat is necessary.
Yes.
Yes. Beautiful. Okay. And if you could learn one other language, if you could learn another language, I'm sure you may know a few. If you could learn another language, what would it be and why?
So I know Spanish fluently.
Of course.
I
Okay.
wish I had learned French better. I know a little bit.
Yeah.
Because my father, my last name Saint John is French. His father was French, French Canadian actually, and but I grew up more on the border with my mother's language, which was Spanish, and also. My dad's mom is also Mexican too, so I wish I would have learned a little bit more French.
Okay.
To learn that heritage that I
Yeah.
have inside of me, and I think it's a beautiful language too.
Yeah. I tried to learn French, and wow, it's
difficult.
Yeah.
I tried too. I took a class in college, and I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's definitely something though to want to know, because it's a lot of great things happening around the world. It's opening
Right.
up a lot of different positions, and being able to be bilingual or have dual languages.
Yes, trilingual. Yes.
Yeah, it's a thing that's very needed in our world.
Well, and
today.
I'm seeing that my granddaughter, she's 10, and in her school, they're teaching her. It's not Chinese. What is it called? Mandarin.
Mandarin.
So
Okay.
she's growing up learning. She knows English.
Yeah.
She knows Spanish.
Wow.
And now she's learning Mandarin. And so since she started in kindergarten there, now in 4th grade, she really knows it really well, the Mandarin.
Wow.
So that's really cool. I think
Yeah.
that they teach them the different variety of languages early on.
Yeah, the early on part is was the plus. You know.
Yeah, because I think once we're older, it's so hard to so hard to get it into our skulls.
Okay. One last question, and I like this one because now that I know that you're an introvert,
Yes.
I feel comfortable saying that I'm an introvert as well. And now that I know that you're an introvert, and I know that it's a task to sometimes get up and speak in front of people,
Well, that part's not a task.
you love that.
I love it.
Really?
Yeah, and I never get nervous.
Really?
Yeah, it's easy.
How do you do that? How
I
do
don't
you not
know.
get
I
nervous?
don't know. Since I was little, I don't know. I just don't have that fear of getting up. And they say it's the number one fear
Yeah,
to get up and
yeah.
speak. And I'll jump on that stage behind that mic. I have no fear. I don't get nervous.
Do you have any tactics? Nothing, just
It's just the way I've been. I have no fear getting up in front of 1,000 people. I have more fear going on a one-on-one. Let's say on a
Wow.
date, like a date with my husband. The first time we went on a date, it's just him and me. Like, my palms were sweating. I was nervous, but then I could get up in front of 1,000 people and nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
Oh,
because it's not, for me, one-on-one is so much more intimate, right? When you're in front of a lot of people, there's again still that barrier. When you're behind a mic and you're speaking, you're presenting, you're there to present, they're there to absorb and listen and learn, and then that's it. You all go your own ways, right? It's not right here,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I don't know. I'm fearless when it comes to that.
all right.
I just didn't have that gene.
No, well, now that you said that, I would like to ask you this question. Would you prefer to do a TED Talk or a White House speech? If you had to do either one.
I would prefer to do a White House speech,
Wow.
because then that means I would be someone that had some level of authority and power to make changes in the world
Okay.
that would affect, people's lives.
Yeah.
Where a TED Talk is awesome, a lot of people see it. However, are you going to be able to make an impact, in our government to where it affects a lot of lives?
Right.
So, definitely. Plus, I love DC. It's my second home. My sisters live there. My parents live there now. So
DC is a beautiful
yeah, it's my
place.
second home now. So
Yeah.
because I'm always up there, and I lived there for
Yeah.
4 years. But yeah, definitely would like to do a White House speech.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's cool. Now, for this segment, it's more like the advice portion. I saved your testimony because we have to close with that testimony. It's so beautiful. But in this portion, it's more for advice.
Okay.
We want to see some great people go on to do some great things.
Yes.
We have kids that are watching. We have adults that are watching that may be interested in leveling up and advancing in their life.
Yes.
I would love to speak with you about what that takes. The will, the determination. Of course, God. We can't do anything without God.
Yes.
First and foremost,
It's
we can't do it
start
without
there.
Him. Yeah. But being that someone may be interested in being a radio legend like yourself, and I know you will say no, Darius, I don't want to say legend, but
Well, legend only means you're old.
no.
When people say you're a veteran or you're a legend or you're an icon, okay, thank you. Yes, I'm old. I know.
Absolutely.
It's a polite way of saying you're old.
Oh man. But someone wants to get into this field. They want to develop. They want to do some of the things that you are doing.
Yes.
What advice would you give them? Like where to start? What advice would you give
So I'm going to tell you 3 things. Okay. 1, make sure that when you decide what it is that you want to do with your life as your life profession, right? It's got to be something that you enjoy. It's got to be something that you're not saying, oh, my friend so-and-so does it, so I want to do it too because it looks cool and it looks fun. Is it for you? Is it ordained for you? Is it purposed for you?
Yes.
And the only way to find that out is if you take time to go in prayer and ask your designer, the Lord God, and ask him and take time to listen to see what did he create you for. And usually it's things that come natural to you since you were a kid. Since you were little. Like since I was a kid, I was talking. When you were talking about talking baby, I think I was talking when I was a baby. So I mean, that came natural to me. I was a communicator from the get-go.
Yeah.
Using my voice, using the words, So that was just part of me and who my makeup was and how he designed me. Now there's different professions that I could have gone into that use that skill. And so I was able to have some parents that were very intuitive and say, okay, what are those skill sets where you can use that? What are those jobs that can use that, which comes natural to you? Because I remember my dad saying, when you pick a job, you're going to be spending more time at that place than you do with your own family. So it better be something you really, really have a passion for and you love. Don't worry about the money, because if you have a passion and a love, you'll have the grit and the wherewithal to go through it, and the money will come.
Right.
So seek out that which comes natural to you, which you love. So I'll give you an example. My daughter, from the day she could hold a pencil or a crayon, she was always painting and coloring, and that was like all the time. When I'd say, where is she? What is she doing? She was drawing something on the wall or on the pavement. She always had paint on her shirt, on her fingers. This just came natural. So we just kind of helped her develop that skill because it was natural from a baby. And now she's a makeup artist by profession. Wow. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to find what's natural for her. So like she tells me, Mom, when I'm working, it doesn't even feel like work, because that was something God put in her, that gift, that love for paints, whatever, art, and now she's doing that. She found a profession where she could incorporate that gift and she can make a living.
It's beautiful.
So that's number 1. Number 2, find somebody that you can mentor under. Find somebody that's doing what you want to do once you decide what it is, and find someone that's doing what you want to do and ask them if you can mentor with them. When you have a good mentor, it's everything. It's everything, because they're going to help give you shortcuts. You're going to save a lot of time, money, and energy if you have a great mentor or coach that will help you, because they've already been where you are and they can help you get you there quicker.
Yeah.
By their experience, by their wisdom, by their knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's really important. And number 3, you have to do the work.
Yeah.
I always say it's not going to land on your lap because you're cute. It's not going to land on your lap because of who you know. Who you know might get you in, but what you know keeps you in. So you have to work. You have to do the grind. And I think that, in my observations here in the last probably 5 to about 5 years. That seems to be missing in a lot of our youth. The grit, the work ethic, I just don't see it there as I did back in the day as when I was growing up. You do find it, but it's far and few between. Yeah. And so you got to do the work to get the results. Yeah. Period. End of sentence. Yeah. So if you're willing to do the work, if it is your passion, you are willing to do the work and go that extra mile. And if you know it's what God ordained for you, then go for it. Be fearless. Do it.
I like that. I really like that.
Yes.
I feel like that spoke to me because even though we have obligation and we do so much in between conversation back and forth about this network and everything that's going on, beautiful things, I often catch myself wondering how I could work the way that you do. I mean, we talked yesterday. You told me about, like, hey, I worked very late last night.
Yes.
I stayed.
Well, Gary's in the room, and somebody told me the other day, Gary, you don't know this, but you were in the production room with someone, I don't know who, and somebody might have heard you saying this to them, but basically you were talking about my work ethic to somebody. Do you remember that? And you said, what did you say? I didn't know. They just said, hey, Gary was saying you really work really, really hard. Oh, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet. See, I didn't know. I just heard it through the grapevine. Yeah. What did you say? Yeah. So, except for Saturdays.
Saturdays, no. Okay.
Well, I used, when I first opened Fishbowl, and we're going on 13 years, for many, many years, I was here 7 days a week. Even when we were closed on Sunday, I'd come up here and work. And I was here, I was here all those hours from morning to night. My husband had to sacrifice time with me. My kids had to sacrifice time with me. So, that's why I incorporate them as much as I can in the business so I can see them. But, you have to know it's your purpose, it's your calling, and it's what you do, and so you have to put in the work. If not, it's not going to sustain. And as it grew and we developed better systems and we had more manpower and all that stuff, then I was able to finally say, okay, I need Saturday off to give that date night with my husband, and then Sunday my family time, God's time, and then go back to the grind Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But if I wasn't married, I'd probably be up here Saturday. I'd probably be up here Sunday. Like, I'm a radio rat. So I was always, when I go in on something, I'm going to go full in. I'm going to go 150, probably 200.
200%.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to, if you want to get results, I think, so go all in, go home, or, go hard or go home. Go all in. And we're actually in a transition area because we had gotten to this place in our company where things were just running smooth. The numbers were great. We were growing every year, and then COVID hit, and we took a hit like a lot of people. And we took a hit here as well too. So I'm having to come back and start. It feels almost like I'm starting over and rebuild and get back to the place that I was at.
I'm so glad you said that. I think that'll be the perfect transition into your testimony, because what you stated was that we're starting from bottom up.
It seems like we're starting.
So I would love for you to tell that beautiful testimony that you told me the day I walked in this building.
There's so much testimony to this place.
It's so big.
There's so many stories. There's stories within the stories, big. Right? Yeah. There's stories. There's the testimony of Fishbowl. There's the stories within the stories of hosts. So I don't even know where I would begin.
Maybe let's start at the Fishbowl thing. From the very first download that God gave me.
So I'll do that really quick, because that was the origination of Fishbowl. So basically, I'm working in radio, I'm working in the industry, I'm working for Clear Channel, and I've got my job, I'm good. And I'm also teaching at a school called American Broadcasting School a couple of days a week. I teach some classes, and I've been teaching for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And I get home one day after working my radio gig, and my phone rings, and out of the blue, one of the big morning men in this town called me and said, hey, they didn't re-sign my contract. I just lost my gig, and I was like, oh my goodness. And they were very upset. They were not happy, and they called me because they knew I was just, I'm an encourager, I'm a motivator. They just wanted to hear some wisdom. They just wanted to hear some motivation, some prayers. So after I got off that phone call, literally about 30 minutes later, the phone rings again. And this time it's one of my students that had graduated from American Broadcasting School almost 2 years prior, and she's upset. She's like, I'm not finding a job. This is what I want to do. And I'm like, look, I just got off the phone with one of the best in the business. He just lost it. I go, just be patient, hang in there, and gave her advice, gave her encouragement. Don't give up on your dream. So after I was like, that was strange that I get these two calls, one from someone who wants to get in, one from someone who's been in and is great and is out. And I just literally went into my prayer closet, my closet where I keep my clothes. I've sectioned half of it off as a prayer closet. I have a little prayer closet and everything. And I keep a little basket with a journal, my Bible, just a little cushion, and my prayer closet. And so I went in there and I just had this overwhelming gratitude. And I was just thanking God for still having a job, because many people were getting downsized in 2009 because of the economy and technology. And then B, that I had gotten the break at 17, like this young girl had gotten, that I had gotten the break so easily. So I was just in a state of gratitude, in a state of thankfulness. Like, thank you, God. And I said, what can I do so that I can continue to encourage these two groups of people, the ones that want to break in and the ones that are losing their jobs? What can I do? And I think he actually took me literally, because I really meant to say, what can I say to them? But I didn't. I said, what can I do? And then, boom, just like that, I got the download, and I got my little journal. That's why I keep my little notebooks there next to me, because when I hear him, I write down what he says. And it's like we're having this conversation, and I'm trying to write it down as fast as it's coming. So I start writing it down. And then when it's finished and all is said and done, I go back and I always read what he tells me. And basically what he said to me is what Fishbowl is today. It's what it became. He wanted me to start he called it the new radio, which was all going to be online and digital. He said, and make it a place not just for people that want to be in radio to come, but for anyone that wants to have a voice, and that give people that ability to empower them, and just went on and on and on. So so that was the seed. And so I just obeyed what it said on that paper, and here we are 13 years later, and there was no business plan. There was no, it's that journal. It was do this, and there was many things in this that I didn't know, because I'm from the FM world. There was a lot digital that I don't know. You probably laugh at me. You help me with digital stuff, and I'm asking you these questions because I'm not technical. I didn't grow up in that world. But he said, I will provide those areas and those people of where you lack. I will bring. You bring what what I've blessed you with to teach you. And I didn't bless you for you. I blessed you for you to do what I'm asking you to do now.
I think that's the greatest portion of their story. Like, when we talked about it initially, like, you can instantly feel God's presence around that. The aura, the everything about that was an experience. Yes. And God took you through that for you to be here today.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing.
And there's still, he's going to continue even within the 12 years of Fishbowl. There's obstacles, you know. We get blessed, and then there's an obstacle. We get blessed, and there's an obstacle. But all those obstacles are there to teach us, to grow us, to make us more resilient, to make us stronger. The key is to keep on going, to not give up and not stop until he has another plan for you. And there was times that I asked him, are we done now? Should we stop now? Can I stop now? And he was, not yet. Not yet, but one day he may say yes now. I don't know. I follow his lead. I go and seek advice from him, and I've learned that when I don't and I do it Sammy's way, it usually doesn't come out right. So I'm trying to learn to be more patient and ask him first before I move forward on things, because it's easy to get caught up in your own wanting to do things a certain way, right? So we're human, but that's why I say it's important that if it's meant for you, that it's going to be for you. Okay, and that doesn't mean I'm the only one that it's meant for. There might be many people that it's meant for to do this same kind of thing, and I wish them luck. But there's many people that have come in and see it and go, oh, I want to do this too. And then they go try it and it doesn't work, because is it really what they were meant to do?
Right.
Was it their calling? Was it ordained from God? Or was it something they saw and thought, oh, that would be cool to do? You have to ask yourself, is it what I'm meant to do? Has the maker told me this is what I'm supposed to do? And that goes way back to when you were little. What came natural to you? What almost seemed like when you were doing it, the time just flew by?
Yeah.
That's what you should be doing, because that's the gift he put in you. Now just figure out, how can you make a living out of that? What professions exist that require that gift? Yeah. And connect them to, and then you'll be happy because you're living in your purpose. You know what your gifts are. So go back. So now that you have a little child, start watching him. Watch the things that come natural to him.
Yeah.
Because that's the gifts that God put in him.
That's wonderful. That's a wonderful.
Does that make sense?
No, that's pure.
Yeah.
It's a very pure form of what. Man, I'm just grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to have known you, to be here, to talk with you. That was beautiful.
And you walked in. You were one of those testimonies in that chapter in that book I'm gonna write, because there's so many different people that have come through here, not just from crew people, but from people of clients, and they have their individual stories and things. You just met one. I'll have to tell you one day the story of Talisha and Kenneth that just walked out.
Sure.
But that's a whole testimony story there with them in Fishbowl. But I was wanting to move into putting the shows of Fishbowl onto Spotify and Google Play and all that, and I really had no clue how to do it. Someone had attempted to at one point, but that never came off the ground. I didn't even know about it, and then when I found out about it, I was like, okay. But then you walked into my office randomly. I don't even know, how did you get here?
I think we maybe talked like a day or so.
But how did you find Fishbowl?
So when I initially moved to Texas, I actually was looking up places that do podcasts.
Okay.
And I seen it. I remember seeing Fishbowl years back but I never attempted. Then I was afraid. I was afraid to step out.
Never be afraid.
Right.
Don't
This
be afraid.
lets you know right now it's a full circle experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm here today because
right, but so you found us on Google or wherever, and then he walks in the door not too long ago, and as I'm talking to him about his show, he starts telling me, I already do a podcast, and I'm like, where do you push it out? And he's like, Spotify, this and that. I go, really? How do you do that? He's like, oh, I do this, and oh, by the way, I graduated with a master's degree in digital marketing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? He starts showing me all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, do you think you could do this? He's like, oh yeah, that's easy. I got you. And like, here it was, right? So you blessed me, like right at that time, just like he said. He told me God will always bring the people you need when you need them.
Yeah.
And that has happened so far.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what it's supposed to be. Like right now I'm looking for an admin, a really good admin person.
Yes.
My admin of 5 years, she got a great job from actually one of our hosts here who's still here.
Wow.
He stole her from me. But he could offer her so much more than I could, and I'm happy for my Jamie, who was with me 5 years. We're still great friends, and she still helps when she can. But I'm looking for that. But God will bring the right person when they're supposed to be here. And I just we just keep on trucking and doing what he asks us to do each day.
So, hey.
Imperfectly perfect is what we say. Imperfectly perfect.
It's beautiful. I mean, the things that I've learned about in this interview is, for one, your story is your story. What is destined for you is destined for you.
That's it.
And most importantly, follow God.
Period.
Follow God, period.
Trust him. Obey.
That's
when
beautiful.
he tells you something, don't hesitate, don't think twice, just do it.
That's beautiful, guys. This has been another episode of the Famous Now Show. This has been a very, very great one. we thank you, Miss Sammy, Miss. I have to call you your real name.
Nobody calls me that. Nobody calls me that. I don't like that name.
Sylvia
No,
St. John Martinez.
I like Sammy. I'm a Sammy.
I'm grateful for you, Miss Sammy G.
I'm grateful for you.
We look forward to having you on again. Hopefully, I wish we can have a recurring thing. But
Yeah.
I'm proud of the impact that you are creating. Everybody look to your neighbor and tell them, stay famous.
Stay
Good night.
famous.